Hey there. Here's a little thought in rethinking the dollar. This is an article from the Mises Canada Institute. If you're not familiar with the Mises Institute, it's a pretty much a school of thought of Austrian economic thought founded by Ludwig von Mises. And so this here is the Mises Canada website where they pretty much post articles from relevant Austrian-minded individuals. And so this is from Patrick Barron, and he was referencing, as you can see here, is the U.S. making the same mistakes as Zimbabwe? And so those, that might know or may not know the situation that occurred in Zimbabwe about 5 years ago, where they pretty much, printed their paper to death to where literally it hyperinflated and no longer is in circulation. But I thought this was interesting because he, mentioned that he's reading a book that just shows the similarities in the United States and Zimbabwe, and how they pretty much both or one destroyed their currency and the other one's on the way to destroying the currency. So here it says, I started reading a new book about the collapse of the Zimbabwean dollar when money destroys nations by Philip Haslam and Russell Lamberti. One of the main causes of hyperinflation was the decision of the Zimbabwean government to give army veterans of its recent wars a big bonus. The promise was too much for the Zimbabwean economy to manage, so the government printed money, and lots of it. Why is this relevant? Well, look at America. We have been fighting wars around the world for 25 years and recently promised universal health care to all citizens. The baby boom generation is retiring and will draw unfunded Social Security and Medicare benefits in ever larger amounts. There is no way that the promises can be funded by the American economy. We will print money too, just like the Zimbabweans. The Zimbabwean economy went into hyperinflation because the Zim dollar was not held as a reserve anywhere in the world. The U.S. hyperinflation may be delayed because our money printing is being sopped up by foolish central banks worldwide in order to reward their export industries. In a non-manipulated currency market, the U.S. would have to fund its budgets with honest debt and repay it with honest money. But the chickens eventually will come home to roost for the U.S., just as they did for the poor Zimbabweans. The political pressure to print money is the same everywhere, as are the laws of economic science. So a real short article, but I found it interesting how he, is using the similarities in economic policies of printing money in order to fund things. And so just like the Zimbabwe economy failed due to just a massive amounts of printing for social programs and promises that, that were pretty much, not able to be kept by the government, and just how similar that is to what's going on in America now. But the only difference being that as of now, every country around the world is using the dollar as a reserve currency. So you can't quite tell the how severe the printing is for America, but yet, like all fiat currencies, they all come to an end one day. There's not been one single currency ever created by man that's been unbacked that has survived. So that alone just lets you know how how serious this is. That the dollar is no different. It's just right now the governments of the world have continued to use it as an alternative to their currency, especially for trade. And so anyway, just a little food for thought on rethinking the dollar. Let me know your thoughts. Appreciate it.